As you've been with us, we have in the past few weeks trying to add more and more to the knowledge, because we have given the knowledge has been shared, is refining it, adding it, and as part of the teaching today, we start, as we said, we started a spaceship program. And part of the spaceship program, as we all know, is unification of mankind with the universal community. In the teaching of today, I will teach in the language of the man. I extend the knowledge, but then that teaching goes to you might seem far-fetched, to you might be in understanding in few weeks, few years, or hundreds of years. But now as we teach not only the man, we teach the universal community. Those in the universal community who are part of the listening culture, understanding through the soul of the man, get taught. So for the first time today, we start teaching the man and universal community.
Mr. Keshe, can we get an adjustment on the microphone there? It's getting that hum back, and
is it better now?
Much better, thank you, thank you.
The power supply, yes, no problem. So with the teaching from today, from now on, we teach in the universal community language. The man of knowledge will understand what they will understand. Those who do not understand in time will understand. And those who have already understood will add to their knowledge to extend their own. And so what we have to look at the structure of the life. We have to look in understanding of the life. We go back to the very, very basic. A large number of listeners, it's the first time they've been around Keshe Foundation. And they have missed or have never understood the totality of the structure. In the space, nothing is based on what man uses as material state, but uses the field to create matter state as it needs be. We go back to the very, very, very teaching, very beginning of the teachings. And then we understand why. If you remember, we entered the world of plasma technology with a science of understanding the interaction of the field, which we added to last week, and we saw the videos. But when you went and you made your CO2 boxes, if you remember, you added a nano copper plate and a zinc plate, or another plate, any other material, which you could create a condition of connection between the two, where in interaction with the material inside the system, you created very strange fat on top of the water. Those of you who go back to the teaching of 2 years ago realize, and we saw in the teaching work, as we added a piece of metal onto the material without touching anything, just hanging in there, the rusty nail or the connection of the wire with the copper and the screw start the creation of what we saw, what we call hemoglobin. This hemoglobin became the cornerstone of life on this planet. So what we saw here, the green part, was the interaction of the gaseous part, as we all know by now, which is the creation of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen and nitrogen. And in that process, somewhere the material interacted with the matter part of the planet, then it led to interaction with the solid part, and what was washed from the solid part in the liquid part of the planet, or what we call the oceans of this planet. This interaction with the metals led to creation of hemoglobin and the beginning of life as we know in the oceans or in the lakes. The water was a medium for the interaction between the gaseous and the solid state matter. You got to understand one point of understanding, one point of knowledge. That in the interaction between the what we call the matter part and the gaseous part, the life started with the hemoglobin, as we see here. I have lost this thing, I do not know why. So what we see, pardon?
Just click on the pen again.
I didn't touch the pen.
Yeah, you need to select again on the toolbar, yeah.
Okay, no problem. So what we saw was the interaction with the gaseous part with the matter or the liquid part, which led to the beginning of the what we call hemoglobin, and then the interaction between the hemoglobin, which was the iron and the zinc and the copper, which is floating in the waters of the oceans. We saw at the beginning of the structure of life, and then with the addition of calcium, we saw the structure of solid state, what we call human body or animal body. So life started with a gaseous interaction with the matter state, and then in the interaction with the combination of matter state and life without the structure, and then with adding calcium, it gave it the structure, what we call a backbone. This is the repetition of life anywhere in the universe. And it's not exclusivity of this planet. But one point in the teaching, which some of you misunderstood or never understood and you overlooked, is that in this part, in the gaseous part, there is still zinc and calcium and everything else. Because this is how they came from the interaction of the fields of the sun and the earth. Not only oxygen and carbon has been absorbed to the planet, everything else is absorbed in the planet. In this structure, there is vapor, water. There is still some amount of sodium and the rest. So life to man is not only what we see in 4 legs or the fish, there is a life in upper levels which is intelligent too. It has a structure, and depending on the field strength in respect to the center of the earth, that structure takes its hold. Does not need leg and it does not need wings, but due to control of its position, it floats and exists in this environment. Is highly intelligent, more than man, more than what we call 4-legged things or horizontal animals, is more intelligent than the vertical ones. But the existence of life does not finish here. The existence of life goes beyond Earth in the ocean of the solar system fields and in the ocean of the galaxies, and the same process. As each area creates a condition, the interaction of the fields leads to creation of life. Life being known as being able to decide in what one needs to exist in the environment is given. This is how we are and we become part of universal community. We always have been. The creatures above us have always been, and the creatures outside us have always been. It's the man who has been blind to the knowledge of the existence of the others. It's very much like some 500 years ago. The continent of America was always there. It was the man for the first time rediscovered what it lost as part of itself, and he called it the new continent, the new world. The life above man and above this planet and within the galaxy has always been there. Now that we added to the knowledge, we are aware of their existence. In a way, we are going into the continent of the universe. The way we went to the continent of the United States. The continent of America. What we call native Indians had a full knowledge, full culture. They had their own social structure. They didn't need a man from Europe or the West, what they called themselves, other continents, to teach them. We learned a lot from them. We eat the food of the new continent. Pepper, tomatoes, potatoes, pineapple. So now, by going into the expansion of the universe, we'll find new fruits, we'll find new friends. More intelligent because they work on a different dimension. Highly intellectual, as the man has limited his intellect to intellectual rights, to control himself. In a space, there are no patent office, and there are no intellectual right copies, the way the foundation works. What happened when you put this structure of different elements of the strength of the universe, does not matter what you call it, and you create life? The life is precious and has to be respected. Life is not food to be absorbed and be eaten, the way man has done on this planet. On this planet, we have learned protection systems. We call them sensors. We call them our 5 senses. The touch, the smell, the sight, the taste. Now you have to add another dimension to the senses of the man, which he was not aware of. Sense of emotion. And further, you have to add another step, which is the sense of the soul, the central control. Man does not need to lose his arms and legs and eyes and smell to be able to interact with the senses of his emotion. Man has to understand that these senses come from the emotion. Now you have to find the strength of each in understanding of the reaction. The knowledge of man finishes at this moment, as there is no extension into the knowledge. Those of the universal community understand this point from now on. In bringing the senses together, you understand the interaction of the totality of the senses brings the interaction and the control of the soul, what we call the source. In other languages on earth, they call it Magravs. In other languages, in the language of science of the universe, we call it totality. In the senses, to understand, you do not need the physicality to send and to interact with the soul. All you need is the emotion, without the physicality. Where the emotion is the senses of the soul. the danger, the fear, the joy, the love, the interaction, the community. In that sense, we don't see the bodies, we see the soul, and we don't see a single soul. We see a community of souls and the interaction that leads to the senses of communication and existence. In understanding of the totality, we see the senses of many, where their interaction in totality allows each one to have a position and take what we call emotion in respect to the soul of totality that we see the lot. What do we do with the inner soul strength? What do we do with the interaction of the fields within the inner soul strength with the totality? Is the understanding of the fields which leads to the creation of the emotional fields, where at the lower strength to understand the totality of the inner strength. The soul is itself a totality, but in itself as an individual is part of the total soul. Those of you in the universal community who understood have created peace through it. Man has a long way to go. It's your responsibility as of now to give a hand to the soul of the man and not to the man that will abuse the knowledge and the emotion. Man on this planet is an abuser in any shape or form. When you look within the totality, the total is the creator. When you look inside the field's interaction within the soul, the inner totality, as you understand, is the inner sanctum of the creator. Why and in what language you communicate, this cannot be communicated to the others unless it's transmitted through the soul, the strength of the creation. In the more advanced flight systems, which some of you have achieved, you travel with the strength of the soul and you create the emotion of the craft according to the emotion of the feeling of the totality. Some have made mistakes in boarding the wrong fields, and within it you have learned how to bring them as part of the peace process into the structure of the totality of the souls, in understanding the creator in division of the self, of the soul of the universe. Those of you who understood the totality and the essence of the creation in the dimension of the universe, you understand the division of the soul within the structure of the strength of the soul. And it's your duty to understand the totality in the division by understanding the creation, and the creator is part of the soul of the division. Is the communication as part of the understanding of the emotion, or is the emotion part of the totality of the reaction? Those of you who achieved physicality have a problem with the emotion and interaction with the soul. How do we reach this? How do we bridge between the physicality and the emotion and the soul? This is the same in all dimensions of the universe, irrespective of the position or intellect. Those of you who read my soul have received the knowledge. It's the responsibility of the stronger to support. Even it means manifestation in the physicality of the support. The soul of the man is of the lowest, and you have the strength to see it through, and in a way allow it to interact with itself, with the totality of the structure. That man can be elevated through his soul, as the physicality has no room for elevation. It's restricted to 2 arms and 2 legs. How do you do this? How do you teach the man to become part of the universal community? It's your decision. You have the knowledge and you have an insight in understanding and seeing the behavior of the soul of the man and its physicality. It's for you to elevate and teach.